Hi, I'm Greg Ulan with Reynolds & Reynolds, and this is Connected. Today's a special episode. Very excited to sit down and talk with Holly Neeld, who's the Campaign Development Director for Blood Cancer United, and Allison Leonard, the Campaign Development Manager at Blood Cancer United. We're going to talk about giving, and we're going to talk about what that means to so many people. Also joining us today, we're going to have the chance to talk with Amy Webb. Amy is a survivor and the Light the Night chair in Dayton this year, so excited for that conversation as well. But first, Holly and Allison, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Absolutely. So maybe start, Holly, with Blood Cancer United, and just made a shift from the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Some people may know that name, some may not. I was actually introduced to it through Team in Training. Okay. I think there's a lot of people that may have that connection. My wife ran her first marathon through Team in Training, and after that, I kind of decided that I couldn't let her hang that over me for the rest of our lives. So then I stole her training calendar and started running myself. And so we've done a lot of marathons together at this point. But, obviously she's way better than I am. But that's not just at running. So anyway, that was my first introduction. But I've gotten the opportunity to learn more and more about the organization. So maybe just start with what you all do, why shifting to the name change, and we can go from there.
Yeah. So our vision is to see a world without blood cancer, first and foremost. And we've been doing this for a number of years now, over 75. And we decided that it was time for us to give ourselves a name that really resonated and reached all blood cancer patients because, as you know, leukemia and lymphoma are not the only two.
Right.
So we shifted and became Blood Cancer United this year. And the idea, again, behind that is we want to make sure that we're a resource for everyone who has a blood cancer. And we do this through 3 pillars of service: patient support, advocacy, and research. And again, we want to be omnipresent for our patients in the community. So the name change has, I think, really speaks to that.
Yeah, that's great. Can you talk about maybe those 3 pillars a little bit then? So those are great names, but I think for a lot of folks, especially if you're not familiar, what do those mean? So maybe just starting with the first one, patient support. I think that's probably the most straightforward, but I don't know which one of you maybe want to roll with that. But maybe we can just dive into each of those buckets, those categories, and explain kind of what that means.
Yeah. Would you like to take this one?
I can talk about patient support.
Great.
It's my favorite one. So
yeah.
So patient support is absolutely my favorite pillar that we do just because it directly gives back to the patients. When you hear from Amy later, you're really going to hear how when you get diagnosed with a blood cancer, you're not ever expecting that and you don't really know where to start. So we want to give them that first spot that they can really connect with and get the information that they need. So when they call our IRC, our Information Resource Center, or our patient support, they're able to call that number and get any information that they need, which that list goes on forever. But Some of my favorites are that they have a peer-to-peer connection program. So they can actually get paired up with someone that has the same diagnosis as them to have someone to actually relate to that process that they're going through. So your friends and your family, they might try to understand what you're going through, but to actually have a peer to be able to connect with. You might not also know where to start when it comes to your diet, so we have nutritionists that are able to help them what they could eat and what they can kind of go through, or kind of what those next steps are, or what next trial they can maybe get into. I also know that you don't really budget for cancer at any point in time, so we can help them with grants and getting funds so that they can just pay for gas or for a meal or whatever that might be. So really it's that first stop shop with that patient support. And I say it's truly giving back to the community directly, being able to see those patients impacted by those funds.
Yeah, and having a plan makes all the difference in the world. It just, if nothing else, from a stress perspective, so having those resources to help, I can only imagine how grateful people can be just to get that plan laid out where it's like, okay, so these are the 5 things that I can do and where to go and who to call, and that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. So what about advocacy? I think was the second one that you mentioned. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So we are advocating for blood cancer patients at all levels of government. This is something that I think a lot of people forget or overlook that is one of our pillars of service. And that can be anything, look like we're advocating for your medical debt to be able to, have to alleviate that. We're advocating for better policies that benefit blood cancer patients. And you can actually sign up to receive notifications of what we're working on at an advocacy level, for you to be able to be informed. And it might be there might be a call to action of, hey, call your state representative and let them know that you support the work that Blood Cancer United is doing in terms of advocacy.
Yeah, no, that's great. Now, do you have, at Blood Cancer United, are there people on staff that are responsible for advocating?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I assume at, like you mentioned, kind of every level of government. So in Washington, D.C., and at the state level, then even local levels too?
Yeah. We actually just had an event. It was our Dare to Dream Summit, where we went. Those who Dare to Dream is our initiative to raise funds for pediatric blood cancer patients in support. It's very specifically for pediatric blood cancer patients because their long-term impact of blood cancer on their life. The Dare to Dream Fund is really working to help them have a better quality of life, and that looks like everything from better cancer treatments while they're actually in treatment. It also can look like funding for them to be able to go to college because perhaps they had to delay that wish for themselves because of them going through treatment. So when we were in DC recently, we were advocating for Dare to Dream.
That's great. Okay, and then the third pillar you mentioned was research. So what does that look like? I think that, and I ask as generically as possible, because to me, for a lot of nonprofits, for a lot of charities, a lot of money goes towards research. And when you say that, I think there's some assumptions, probably in my case as well, where, okay, so we're paying essentially doctors, right? We're going to pay them for their time to do research on a project because they're not practicing medicine per se. So they're doing research to figure out different treatments or different medications or things like that. I assume that's what we mean when you say research, but I don't know. Maybe explain that a little bit better.
Yeah. So you're spot on. So we work on we have a medical advisory board who approves all of our research. So not all research gets funded. We try to fund the best research that we can possibly do that can have the greatest positive impact on the lives of patients. And that does look like the funding to support a physician who's doing research, whether it's specifically on AML, acute myeloid leukemia, or if it's something that has to do specifically with pediatric blood cancer patients. We fund all the different levels of research, but it looks very much like, physicians who are working on those clinical trials or, looking for different treatments or things like that.
Yeah. So it's really about advancement, right? And finding those highly educated folks that are in the research field, not necessarily practicing, but have certainly practiced and are very much capable of finding those next level treatments for patients.
Yeah.
That's great.
Exactly.
That's great.
Do you have anything to that?
Well, one thing I kind of thought of with you talking that you can kind of tie those couple things together is you talked about the Dare to Dream project, and that's really based towards our kiddos that have gone through this process. But we're actually advocating right now that it's, what is it called? No Kid Left Behind, I think is the program called right now. But we're advocating so those kids can get treatments in all of their hospitals for treatments for the kiddos. So when researchers are doing research on how to cure these cancers, they're doing it on adults. So that's not going to have the same effects when you're putting it into a kid.
Sure.
So that Dare to Dream project is really so those researchers can get the right treatments for kids and what those longevities are. So having that No Child Left Behind Act and then tying that together with the Dare to Dream project, we're advancing those research and we're advancing those treatments that we can have just in kids alone, for example, and kind of how those couple things tie together.
Yeah.
No, that's great. And thinking about that and how funds are applied, one of the things that I have come to appreciate about your organization is just that, how funds truly are applied and the very low percentage of funds that go toward administrative costs. And maybe you can talk to that a little bit, because there are, especially this time of year, I do feel like giving is sort of front of mind for folks. And I couldn't even begin to come up with a number of charities and organizations that people can give to. So when you want to give, you want to feel like you're truly having an impact, I think, for most people. So maybe talk a little bit, if you can, about, one, how you structure Blood Cancer United and fund distribution, and then maybe even just some things for folks to look at. Maybe it's not Blood Cancer United, obviously for you all, we want that to happen. But if there's another cause that's important to someone, what are the questions to ask? What are the things to look for to just understand, to make sure that what they're giving is having the biggest impact that it can?
We just had this conversation about what percentage of our of funding ends up going toward mission versus covering administrative costs. That percentage it's very high. We just talked about it. It's I actually think I have it written down, but it's about maybe this is, don't quote me on this part, but it's in the 70% range. That is the amount that goes toward the work that we do on mission, on patient, all of those different pillars of service, and the rest of that covering those costs.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's great. I mean, and that's what you want to see, because obviously there are costs to running this, right? To doing this, to raising the funds, to distributing the funds, to the medical advisory board, to all these pieces of the puzzle. But to have it be as significant as possible from a percentage perspective that's going toward your three pillars is really important. So maybe you can talk a little bit too, I don't know, Allison, if you have any ideas on what are those questions people can ask, or what should they look for in an organization just to make sure that they're having the biggest impact possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's escaping me because we actually have a score, and I'm pretty sure it's in my signature in my email. There's a scorecard that you look for in that company. Yeah. That it can really tell you. We get evaluated by state, country, of how we're using those funds, and to make sure that we are spreading them out there and using the funds that we're saying and promising them back to patients. So it's funny you're talking about a percentage, but I'm like, I thought it was like 91 cents of every dollar that goes back to our mission specifically. And just like some examples that people may have seen in the Dayton community in the last 5 years is example of our closing our offices. So where people love to be in person, and I would love to have that space. Being able to say, we decided not to have that space anymore because we could actually use those mission dollars to bring it directly back to us and bring it back to those patients versus having a facility. So choices that we're kind of making in that realm, just like you might not see this year, you probably see a lot of things with Blood Cancer United, but before that, maybe you didn't see us on a commercial or on that marketing piece. That's because we really want those dollars to go back to our patients, towards that research, towards that advocacy. And so we're really using our volunteers like Amy, and using our communities and connections like Reynolds and Reynolds to really get the word out there that we're here and this is what we're doing, versus maybe some of those other marketing avenues you might see.
Yeah, that's great. And I love what you all are doing, and it's been great to get to know you and your organization more and more over the last handful of years. But, you mentioned Amy, and I think it's probably a good opportunity for us. We'll have Amy come in and sit down and share some of her story, and then we can circle back around after that. Does that sound good?
That sounds great. Thank you.
Amy Webb, thank you so much for joining. Amy, you're the Light the Night Chair for 2026. You're also a cancer survivor. Really appreciate you coming on to share your story and maybe some of the impact that Blood Cancer United's had on you. So I'll tee you up there, and we can go wherever you want to.
Yeah, thanks. Really appreciate the opportunity. I was diagnosed with diffuse large B-cell lymphoma, literally, it might even be this day, in 2013, thinking about it, honestly. So I had been, ironically, running. I was planning to run a half marathon and had gotten super fit, super thin. How you're busy with kids and running around. So moms typically ignore some of those signs that maybe they should be paying attention to, but overall did not feel poorly in any way. But noticed that my lymph nodes kind of in the neck area were a little inflamed. I still had my tonsils, and so not unusual by any stretch. So continued on with the holiday cheer, shopping, etc., and really got, I guess, concerned when I noticed some lymph nodes that had sort of popped up in the groin area. So then you become one of those armchair doctors, start Googling everything, and I essentially went to my primary care doctor and said, I've got lymphoma, and they of course said, oh, we're gonna test you for the bubonic plague and everything else that's out there. But sadly, I was correct actually. So that holiday season was a little stressful. We had 4 kids that were under the age of 15.
Oh wow.
So didn't necessarily want to frighten anybody till we knew more what was going on. But started treatment fairly quickly in January. Was initially referred right away to at that time, the LLS, primarily for resources for my kids. So I would be prepared for questions when we decided to tell them about the diagnosis and kind of what was going to happen. But I was so surprised when I made that call because to Allison and Holly's points, there's financial assistance, there's dietary help, if you need a ride to a doctor's appointment or a chemo treatment, anything that you could think of that would make your life easier and your family's life easier through a diagnosis is truly available through the resources that now Blood Cancer United offers. I did have initially 8 rounds of chemo. The protocol at the time was called RCHOP. Fortunately, due to the advocacy and research, the treatments are much better. I'm at this point, I had another relapse. I've been in remission since 2017, so I'm almost 10 years out. I'm going to knock on my head for that. But again, 4 solid years of losing my hair twice, having to go every 3 weeks for a treatment, and then did a couple of years of just a maintenance drug that was called Rituxan that I really believe, based on what my doctor's decision was, along with all of the research that was out there, is what has kept the cancer from recurring again. I still get annual scans just to make sure that everything is good. And I've always kind of donated to the cause, but never really participated at a larger scale till this last year. So now I'm going full throttle in the executive position for 2026. But yeah, can't say enough about the people and the processes that Blood Cancer United offers.
That's great. That's great. And I do want to get into Light the Night a little bit more with you as we come kind of into 2026 and start looking forward to that. Before we get there, if you don't mind, and maybe it's just where I'm at in life, I don't know, but when you mentioned your children, and maybe this is emotional for you, so we don't have to go there if you don't want to, but what was that process like? I can imagine for you personally, it's extremely difficult to go through, but to then share that with your kids and you're probably really worried about how they're going to feel and what they're going to think.
Yeah. Again, initially I didn't, until I kind of had an idea of what might happen, I didn't want to scare them, essentially. So it was a lot of, a stage 4 cancer diagnosis is pretty intense. Yeah. So especially the 2 younger ones, I really tried my best to sort of carry on. They were very involved in sports and extracurriculars, so it was trying to keep their schedule as consistent as possible. But there was no hiding. There were days that I was really sick after treatment. Then when your hair starts falling out, you can't hide from that. So we tried to make it fun. We bought a bunch of wigs. I mean, like blonde hair, red hair. I'm a brunette. But yeah, it was fun, and we all kind of tried them on. I think humor, to a large degree, helps me help them. But I found books, I found websites through the LLS at the time that if they had a question that I didn't have an answer to, I felt really confident that I could send them. They have support groups if they never took advantage of those, but there are groups of kids that get together with a parent that has a diagnosis. So it's not just for the patients. The organization is really about helping the entire family with the diagnosis, and from every angle, from the financial, from the emotional, from the physical side. I kind of have the chills now talking about it. But it was. I don't want to lie and say it was easy, because it definitely wasn't. But when you know where to go when you don't have the answers, it alleviates, as a parent, some of that angst. And it was. The kids are excelling. I've got one graduating, the youngest, from college this Friday, actually. Wow. So it just never occurred to me that I wasn't going to do everything possible to survive the diagnosis. And I feel very lucky. Not everybody gets that second chance. So for me, the donating part was easy. But now that we're not quite as busy with all those day-to-day activities with younger kids, I feel like it's my time now to do more of the LLS events, fundraising. I threw a great pickleball fundraiser this past year. So anyone that likes pickleball, let me know. I'll get you an invite to the one we do next year. But there's so many ways that you can get involved on a personal level, on a financial level, whatever makes sense for what your goals are.
Yeah, so let's get into a few of those things. I do want to say before that, though, thank you for sharing that personal story. I think a lot of people, I'd probably say most people, know someone close to them who's been impacted. But to hear the firsthand account, I think changes. It's a different perspective, and it's something that can be really valuable for folks when they're thinking about. You want to be supportive of someone around you, but for the person going through it, it takes a really, really strong person, both physically and mentally and emotionally to get through that. And then in your situation with, you said 4 children under 15, you're still trying to be a mom. That takes a lot. It takes a lot out of you. So thank you for sharing that, because I think it provides a great perspective on just how hard it really is.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk a little bit. You mentioned the fundraising and your pickleball tournament, which I love. Where'd you host it at?
So we did it. It was kind of the northern Cincinnati, South Dayton suburbs. The good news is there's a new place in Centerville called Pickleball Kingdom that's open. So I'm already lining them up for 2026. Maybe there'll be 2.
There you go.
If there are any listeners in northern Dayton that know a place, I'd be happy to do one there as well. But what a great way to raise fund, do some physical activity. Most of these places, it's great publicity for them to kind of introduce pickleball since it's getting so popular. But at the end of the day, the initial fundraiser, we raised $1,500 in a 3-hour window. We had some raffle baskets, we had some prizes, and it was a fun way, again, to get the word out about what, again, LLS, now Blood Cancer United, does on a larger scale. To your point, you hear about people that have cancer, but sometimes you don't know when you're donating where those funds are going to, or if you've been impacted, what the best way is to support them. Maybe financial isn't feasible for you, but coming and showing up, and we had people that just came and cheered on at the pickleball. They didn't play. They maybe bought a raffle ticket for a gift basket, but you can, again, lobby your congressman or your local state representative just to say, hey, we need this research, we need these dollars available to help the cause. There's so many things that you can do, which is my favorite, though, the Light the Night Walk that the ladies will finish out with. But what a great way to get together in the community here. It's at Frey's Pavilion. It's incredible. The people that come and put that together and support the cause, and the walk itself is so beautiful around the lake. I highly recommend, if you're looking for a way to be part of it, that's a really good starting point, Light the Night, for sure.
Yeah, it is. It is a great event, and we've had an opportunity to be a part of it, a small part of it for the last handful of years, and very grateful for that. But it is a really great event, and looking forward to to seeing you as the chair this year. That's
Great.
pretty exciting.
And also, just so you know, we're lobbying you for another water balloon contest here too. So
Okay.
just so you're prepared, Reynolds and Reynolds folks, we've got them on board, hopefully. Yes.
Yeah, that was fun. We did, I think we posted about it on some of our social media channels, but we had a few folks that went out and volunteered to get water balloons thrown at them. Some of the folks that were the throwers had better aim than others.
Imagine that, right?
But there were a couple, especially young Chloe, who's daughter of one of our associates and also a survivor. She I think she was 4 for 4 with her water balloon tosses, so she did a great job. She did a great job. Well, Amy, thank you for sitting down and talking. Like I said, the firsthand experience that you shared is really valuable. I really appreciate it. I can imagine it's still not easy to even talk about, but it's great that you do, and I think it provides a great perspective for folks that aren't going through this, but they understand that it's difficult and want to help.
Yeah. Thanks for your time and talent.
Yep. Thank you. All right, so Allison, Holly, just got to talk with Amy. What a great story, and love what she's doing with your organization. She mentioned Light the Night. She mentioned she's the chair this year. Allison, you've been heavily involved in Light the Night you said this is your 5th one. So talk about it a little bit. And you're responsible for the Light the Night in our local area in Dayton, but these happen, I believe, throughout the country as well. So talk to your experience in the Dayton area, and obviously this is applicable throughout.
Yeah, so I get the privilege of running our Light the Night here in Dayton. But as you mentioned, it is across the country. So any of your major cities, if you look it up, there's probably a Light the Night there. Ohio is really fortunate. We actually have 4 within the state of Ohio. So we kind of are in a stepping stone for any of those, because Light the Night, I feel like, is the stepping stone to Blood Cancer United. It's a great entryway to really learn about what we do, and has a space for everybody. So it is the community event that we have in these cities. But we hold these lanterns that we actually light at this lighting ceremony when the sun is setting. And the lanterns are my favorite part to talk about, because they mean something different, which brings everybody in that community. So we start off with our white lanterns, which is what Amy holds as a survivor. Anyone currently going through treatment or is in that survivor remission piece, they hold that white lantern, and they get to come to the center during that ceremony, shine a beautiful white beam into the air, and really honor and celebrate those people in that circle. Then when you usually see a white lantern holder, you look around them, and there's a bunch of people with red lanterns. Those are all of our supporters. Those are people that want to see an end to blood cancer, that want to see an end to cancer in general. So you see everyone holding those red lanterns. And then we have our yellow lanterns. Those are to remember those that we have lost. So when you see those groups, they have people holding the yellow, someone has passed in their life, and so they're there really to honor them. And we have a beautiful memorial area at the walk where they can come and bring pictures and write little mementos on them. So really having that one night a year to bring everybody together, no matter how they've been touched, is really what Light the Night is, and how we can kind of pull that in.
Well, it's a great event. It's also a great fundraiser for you. So talk a little bit, if you don't mind, about the types of fundraising that happen at Light the Night. So you have sponsorships, but then you also have teams that raise money. There's a lot of different ways for people to fundraise.
Yeah, so there's lots of ways to get involved in Light the Night. We're very fortunate in that avenue. So we have sponsorships, of course. We say those are the people that sponsor the event, but they really create that experience. So I say that's what elevates the walk and brings people really in. So those are the people that have different tents set up and things that people can do. So Reynolds and Reynolds, for example, they do our furry friends. So nice bandanas on all our dogs that get to come out to the frays and walk with all of us. Or we have button makers that people are able to do. So you're able to get involved in that aspect, being hands-on at the walk through a sponsorship piece and elevating that experience for those people that are coming. Then we also have our teams. So we have friends and family teams, and we also have corporate teams. So our corporate teams are organizations or companies that come together and do different fundraising events within their company and kind of spearhead that way. Then we have friends and family teams that do so many things in our communities. So they usually have some sort of mission connection, whether they've lost someone and they're honoring them, looking for that cure, or they have a survivor under their belt. But they do so many fundraisers in the community. Whether you're seeing them at a restaurant, they do a garage sale. They have a garage sale that would bring in $7,000 a year just from doing that annually. So these people are out there spreading our mission and really trying to give back any way they can. And that's really that piece.
Can you talk a little bit, sorry to interrupt, can you talk a little bit about Chloe's like coin fundraiser that she did last year? Wasn't that pretty amazing?
I love talking about Chloe's coin fundraiser. So that's another avenue of ways that people can get involved is through our school fundraisers. So Chloe, she was our honored hero 3 or 4 years ago. She only came up to maybe here on me when I met her, and now she's taller than me. So it's quite devastating for me now. But Chloe is such a bright star in our community, and I say if I could take her and duplicate her 1,000,000 times, I would love to, because of the fund. This is just one example of things that she does in this community. She had her class actually do a fundraiser. They did a penny war. And so with the penny war, they would, if you put in dollars, it counts against the other team. And so they all have buckets in their classroom, and then coins. Maybe I'm not saying that right.
I think you got it.
Yeah, coins
like
are for your team.
Yeah.
So they did a competition, and they had their teachers really engaged, getting involved. And so they asked me to come out. They're like, we want to present you a check for our fundraiser. I'm like, absolutely. I would love to come out. Her and another girl that she did it with is also a survivor at her school. And they presented me a check for over $4,000 for 2 weeks of fundraising with coins and dollars. So it's amazing to see what these middle schoolers are able to do, and just the community piece.
Did you know how much the check was going to be when you were going?
No, they wouldn't tell me. I had no idea. They would hide it from me too. They had a big check for me to take a picture in, and they hid it behind their back. So I had to wait until in front of the whole school to see what it was.
Wow, that's fun.
But yeah, it was an amazing time, and the parents came too. So just seeing these parents so proud of their survivors that they probably didn't know when they first got diagnosed if they would be here doing this, and now turning their stories into something so positive in the community is just huge to see. So
yeah, that's great.
It.
That's great. Well, Holly, what are some other ways that that folks can get involved? Kind of locally, Light the Night is a big deal for us. I'm certain there's other events or things that we do maybe regionally or nationally through Blood Cancer United. What are some other ways people can get involved or things they can look out for?
Yeah, for sure. To call out what Allison said about Light the Night being our community event, it really is a year-round campaign. So the walk is our celebration of everybody's efforts and our opportunity to engage with our sponsors. But this is really a campaign that's community-based and goes for the whole year. So throughout the year, you have opportunities to fundraise. We talked about how people who want to formulate a friends and family team, if that's your group of people that you want to bring together to fundraise for our mission, you can do that. You can also just be an individual person doing that. You don't have to be a part of a team.
Sure.
Your company can be involved at either a corporate team level or a sponsor level. Schools, we talked about schools. Our school-based fundraising is happening right now. So if there's a school that is out there listening that would like to get involved with Light the Night and formulate a team within their school, we can talk about that. We are also an organization driven by volunteer leadership. Our campaign is based on we have Amy who's chairing our walk this year, and Amy will be building a team to help her support that work. And those volunteer leaders, they would fundraise themselves. They do their own fundraisers within their networks. So there's just a wide variety of opportunities to get involved, and every dollar raised it counts. So plenty of opportunity.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So let's talk about, just real quick, maybe we can wrap on giving in general. Again, end of the year, much more front of mind for a lot of people this time of year than at others. So for anybody out there that is looking to give, what are the most effective ways to do that? We talked a little bit earlier about what to look for in organizations, certainly, but from your perspective, at Blood Cancer United, obviously they can go on the website. Are there other avenues to look at if somebody's looking to give now?
Yeah. I want to call out two things. So giving by the time it's the end of the calendar year is a really critical time for all nonprofit organizations. we have some amazing incentive opportunities that we have in effect through the end of the calendar year. Bright lights and twice as bright. And what this means is an individual who raises $1,000, they become a bright light. And what this means is we have national partnerships who will match nearly dollar for dollar that $1,000. So it's an opportunity to nearly double your impact.
Wow.
Twice as bright, it's $2,500, and you would be able to have your donation matched nearly dollar for dollar there as well. We have the 5K Club. That's another incentive. Maybe you could talk a little bit more about that and what that looks like.
Oh, 5K Club, you just get some amazing swag.
Who doesn't love swag? Yes. Yeah.
So you get new branded swag, which everyone loves to see come out there, but also bringing in $5,000, you still, hit that mark of being a bright light, and bringing in that impact that you can do in the community.
Yeah.
Great. Well, no, definitely appreciate that. I'm sure everybody out there will as well. Thank you to both of you for sitting down and talking and taking time today. Also, obviously, thank you to Amy for sharing her story. Pretty amazing. And thanks for all the work that you two are doing and that Amy's doing for our community and for everyone impacted by blood cancer. It's a big portion of the population, unfortunately, and the work that you all do and the organization does is really important. So thank you for that. Before we hop off, is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you want to, or anything that I didn't ask you that I should have?
I think we covered it.
I didn't know if we wanted to talk at all about other campaigns that are within Blood Cancer United.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I don't want to miss out on that opportunity to really speak
call.
on. Not only do we have Light the Night, the community event, but we also have our Student Visionaries of the Year campaign, which is high school students that form teams of 1 to 3 or 4 students that really come together and fundraise. And the Dayton community alone, they raised over, I think, $400,000 just with high school students. In some of our larger cities, you can see them raise $1.3 million.
Wow.
High school students. The same type of campaign where these high school kids are coming together, we have a Visionaries of the Year campaign. That's adults doing it. So forming a team of 1 to 3 people doing that fundraising and having a little competition to see who's the Visionary of the Year, and kind of bringing that together. So not only is there Light the Night, there's other ways to really hone in on a smaller group at a larger scale in each of our cities.
Yeah.
So I really think that's a great opportunity too, to just get involved, especially if you have that little competitive aspect to you.
Yes.
Sure.
And you mentioned team and training. We have a wide variety of athletic opportunities for people to be involved and fundraise that way, whether that's cycling with, we have a route called Velo Palmetto, which is more of a boutique cycling event where you come together and cycle and fundraise for the mission. Big climb, you're climbing tall buildings. It's kind of exciting.
Wow.
Yep. So there are just many, many, many opportunities to get involved.
That's great. And where's the best place for people to go to learn about those? Just bloodcancerunited.com or what's the best way?
.org.
I'm sorry.
.org. Yes, you got it.
Bloodcancerunited.org. Okay, great. Well, it's really been fun. I appreciate you coming out. Appreciate all that you do each and every day. And again, thanks to Amy for coming as well and bringing her along. But best of luck throughout the rest of this year and then certainly next year. And I'm already looking forward to Light the Night.
Yes.
Us as well. Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you. And thank you to Reynolds & Reynolds for the support. You all are incredibly generous. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining today. I really appreciate Allison, Holly, and Amy for joining and talking with me and sharing their story and different ways that all of us can get involved. Hopefully, especially this time of year, we can find ways to give back. Before we hop off, don't forget you can watch or listen to all episodes of Connected on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify podcasts. And make sure to hit subscribe so you're notified every other week when new episodes are released. Thanks so much. We'll see you in 2 weeks.